Great. Please, I hope you all can see my screen and I am audible as well. Can I have a feedback from the message session? Can you all see my screen?
Sure, we're good.
Okay, great. So we are taking yesterday's session all over again. Right. Some people got lost along the way, and I think that yes, the pace at which, especially me, I was going. So it made it difficult for people to follow up. But I will also entreat everyone, each of us, that to try and then go through the lab exercises in our cloud practitioner modules, because most of the lab sessions that we are doing this week are the lab sessions in our modules, in our cloud practitioner modules. There will probably be few, one or two additions, right? But it is best that you go through the guided lab exercise in the cloud practitioner module, so that most of the things that we'll be doing will be able to follow along. Great. So I will not use my root account, but I will just do one thing. So first, let me go to my, okay, so my root account is in North Virginia. Okay, that's fine. So we will use this region today. We'll use the North Virginia region today, right? But first thing, to prevent spending, I would want to change my billing settings, right? So I'll go to billing dashboard. And then as you can see, I don't have any permissions to actually perform or see any billing information or cost information. This is because irrespective of the fact that we have given this user an administrative role or administrative permissions, the cost and billing info is a whole service or stuff on its own, right? That need another access right for any other account to access. By default, the billing is sent to the master account. So that is mostly the root account. So I will have to enable IAM access for the billing, right? In order for us to be able to, or for an administrative account to be able to also see the billing information. So with that, I've logged in into two accounts, and to see the difference, you can see this one is what the username at alias. So this is an alias that I've given to the account, right? So that is one thing that you will be able to use to notice. So you can see the account ID is here, and then the IAM user is what? The username, that is Isaac. So I'll go to my root account, and if you looking at my root account, you only have the alias here. When you open it, you can see only the account ID, but not a username. So this is the root account, right? So first thing what you do is I'll go to the account and then click on account. And then on account here, I'm able to do other settings. So this is my account ID, this is the account name, my contact information, my address, and these are regions. So if I want to disable some regions, this is where I will do it, right? I can just check, check, and then I'll click on disable, and those regions will be disabled. So right after the regions, you can see IAM user enroll access to billing information, right? So I'll just click on edit this way, and then I'll click on activate IAM access, and then I'll update. Immediately that is updated, I can just come to my administrative user, right, or my IAM user, and then just refresh this page. So you can see that immediately I refresh it, I'm able to see what's, I can see all the billing information. So currently I have some cost to pay, right? Currently for my usage. So I have 20 cents to, I've so far consumed like a paid service up to what, 20 cents. So per my current usage, there is what, a forecast that by the month end, this is forecasted that I will use about 25 cents, right? Depending on how the trend or my usage trend is. So that is basically about that. And then it is the EC2 instance that is actually using these, or it's my highest cost. So the service that is giving me what's the highest cost. So what I want to do here is to set a billing, a budget, right? So I'll set a cost and billing alert to be alerted, just to be sure that I am within certain range, right? I don't overuse certain things. So I'll set a billing alert that will alert me that, hey, you have used maybe 30% or 70% of your budget. It's by default, there are certain percentage that you reach when an AWS will send you alerts, right? So I'll go to budgets. So Philip, for the IAM setup, I can't go back to it. I have the video in the YouTube link, so kindly go back and then go and watch it. Okay, so for the whole IAM setup thing. But if it is about the giving the access rights to, giving the IAM user access to the cost and billing information, then you just have to go to your root user. All right, your root user, click on the account name. Okay, click on the account name and then go to account. All right, so when you go to account, you just scroll down, right, under the AWS regions. Just after the AWS regions, you will see IAM user and role access to billing information, right? You just edit it. So right now, if I want to deactivate it, I can just uncheck updates. And then when I go to my IAM user and I'll just refresh this page, you can see that I'll be giving the feedback that I don't have access to it. So that is here. So I can just go back and then edit and activate the access again. I'll update. And there you have it. I hope that is clear. So I will come to budgets and then I'll create budgets. So I'm creating two budgets, right? I'm creating two budgets. I'm creating a zero spend budget, which obviously I've exceeded, but I just want to show you how it works, right? So you come to budget, click, and then you use the budget setup. So you use a template. You can also customize your own thing, right? So there is cost budget, there is a usage budget, there is a savings plans budget, there is a reservation budget. But for now, we just want to use template. So the other options, you can just explore them, right? So I will just use a template and I'm setting a zero spend budget, and then I'll just give an email. So here you have to give a correct email, right? So for yesterday, I set a zero spend budget. So immediately my cost went up to 0.01. I would have had an email that, hey, your cost has gone up to, but I used the wrong email, right? So I just did isaac@example.com, right? But here you will have to actually put your correct email here, right? In order to be able to get the alert. And you can have a maximum number of like 10 recipients. So you can have different people. So if it is your finance team, you can put all of them there, like get a maximum of 10. Hello? Okay. You can put a maximum of 10 there. And when that is done, you just click on create budget. And you can see that currently, so the budget is what? $1. And then the amount I've used so far is what? 20 cents. So the forecast is forecasted to reach 0.16 cents, and then so that's 20% of my current, the budget that I've spent, right? And I'll create another one. I'll create a monthly budget that says that, okay, in as much as I've set a zero spend budget, let me set a monthly in case I spend more than zero. Okay, then also give me an alert when I'm about to spend what 10 USD. So the same way, I'll put an email here. Okay, and what it says is that first I'll be notified, one, if my actual spend reaches 85% of the amount that I've specified here, and then my actual spend also reaches what 100%. So if my actual spend reaches $10, I'll also be notified. And then if my forecasted expenditure or forecasted spend is also expected to reach 100%, I'll also be notified. All right, so I'll create these budgets. This is just to control cost, or so you can see that I've actually exceeded. So my actual cost is greater than 0.01. As I said, this one is obvious, right? So you have to be careful with the stuff that you use, right? You have to make sure that you are always using the free services. Worst case scenario, or to be on a safer side, just access the console via the Canvas portal, right? So that, but just that there are some limitations, some of the things that you can do. But I think some of the basic stuff you still be able to do it. So once my budget is set, I'm good to go, right? I just set my budget, so I'm good to go. We are now coming to get into the business. Unfortunately, Okay is not available at the moment, but once he comes up, he will take us through the how to spin up the Windows server, right? The EC2 Windows server. So we'll begin with the Linux, and then when he comes, or even if he doesn't come, I think that I'll just take some time and then take us all through. So first, before we launch our server, so today we are going to look at launching a server, but before we do that, we will look at a VPC. So I explained that VPCs are just a private portion that you carve for yourself in the public cloud or in the AWS cloud, right? So it's just like a compound house, and then you have your own room, right, at one portion. Okay, so first we'll have to create a VPC, and then a VPC with subnets before we put our server inside or our web application inside. So first thing, we'll look at VPC. So just to get the service, either you go to services and then you search through here, right? So the services, I think it should be in content, networking and content delivery. And from here, you see VPC here, or you can just, to make things easier, you can just search for VPC this way. And then this is VPC, you just click on it. So you have to also look at the region that you are spinning your EC2 instance in. Okay, you have to make sure that okay, you are actually in the right region. And then most of the times you have to look at proximity. So I think the other time we learned that for Ghana here, the region that gives us low latency is Europe. So, and then more specifically France. So you have to also look at that. So I can see I have some subnets there already. So what I will do is I'll just go into the subnet and see the subnets that I have there. I think there are some that I would want to delete because they are all connected to the same VPC. All connected to the same VPC. Okay. Let me just change the region. I don't want any disturbance. I just want stuff that we can have just our own so that it won't confuse anybody. So let me see this region. So Ohio also has, so I think it's there. There's always a default VPC in every region, right? I deleted the one in Paris, but there is always a default VPC in every region. Okay, let's go back to the Virginia. I think we'll still be able to do it. There's always a default VPC in every region. But then I think just to prevent disturbances, I had wanted to delete it. Okay, anyway, so let's move on. Now, for beginner, right, or for beginner purposes, always don't go here. Don't come to your VPC. Okay, don't come to your VPC like this and then create a VPC from here. If you do that, it means that you are trying to create every component one by one, all by yourself. So till you understand how to configure our tables, how to create an internet gateway and then attach it to the VPC, create a NAT gateway, and then allocate an elastic IP and attach it to your subnets, it is always best, and the recommended way, even by AWS, is to use the VPC wizard. So till you understand how they work, how to properly configure your route tables, always use the VPC dashboard and then create the VPC from there so that you'll be able to use the VPC wizard. Okay, so we'll just use the VPC wizard. So I click on my dashboard and I go to create VPC. Now, in the North Virginia, there are 2 availability zones, right? In North Virginia, I mean, per the VPC. So there is US East 1A, US East 1B, but there is US East 1C as well. So there are 3. So there is a minimum of 3 availability zones in every region. But this, per the VPC wizard's setup, because it's trying to create a multi-AZ setup for us. So a public and then a private subnet in each region, but in each availability zone. But what we are doing here, we are going to just do it in one availability zone. Okay, so first our CIDR block is okay. What we are saying is that we are just using the first 16 bits for CIDR notations and then all those things. Let us can just go back to our notes to refer to that. So we are just using the first 16 bits. Okay, we said that an IP address is what it has 4 decimal places, and then each of them is 8 bits. So 8, this is 16 plus 8, and then plus 8, that's 32 bits, right? An IPv4 address is 32 bits. So we are saying that please, can you all hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Okay.
Yes, from my side.
Okay. So what we are saying is that, okay, use the first 16 bits, right, for the network, and then spread the rest across. So we have a total of 65 IP address to allocate for our subnet, right? And then for the name, the reason why we are not, so you see there are 2 options here, VPC only and then VPC and more. We want to create a VPC and then its components. That is why we are choosing VPC and more. If you choose VPC only, you are going to have just your VPC only. So it means that you still have to go back and then create all the other components, but we'll use a VPC and more. So for name, we'll use test VPC. Okay, so our CIDR block, this is okay. So this is our network address, and then the rest is for the subnets. And then here we'll look at only one availability. So you can see if I click 3, see I have 3 here. All right, if I click 2, I have 1A and then 1B, and then if I click 1, you can see that I have just 1 like this. And then you see the route tables are default created for us, the network connections, the gateway, and then the this is for the NAT gateway as well. It's also created for us. Okay, so number of public subnets, we have 1. Number of private subnets is also 1. So here we'll customize the CIDR blocks. We have 65,000 plus addresses. So what we are saying is that we'll start this subnet from 10.0.1, right? And then give it a CIDR block of 24. So we are blocking the first 24 bits, okay, and then leaving the 16 bits that is left for the is it 16 bit or 8 bit rather? Yes. for this subnet. So we are just allocating 256 IP addresses for this subnet. So we start from 10.0.1.1 up to 10.0.1, 10.0.255.255, right? And then for our private subnet to start from 0.2, and then also a block of 24. So we are also distributing 256. It's not important to even know like what IP address. We just are aware that the number of IP address to be allocated in this subnet is for 256. For the NAT gateway, okay, this is to enable outbound communication from the private subnet. So you can either create one NAT gateway per availability zone, or you can just put your NAT gateway in just one availability zone. So I'll select one AZ. VPC endpoint, none. We are not connecting any S3 buckets or any other services. So we'll select none, and then let's look at our setup again. So you can see the S3 has changed to what's the NAT public one. Okay, so this is it, and then this is our internet gateway as well. Great. So here, yes, we enable DNS host names, and then we enable DNS resolution. So from here, we are done. We just audit it, or we can just use this diagram to check and see if everything is okay. So as I said, route tables are configured automatically. The network connections, as far as for internet connectivity, is also configured. So just go ahead and create a VPC. So when you are creating a VPC, earlier I mentioned that you will have to do everything one after the other, This is what I meant. Okay, you have to create everything. So you first create your VPC, right? And then you now create your subnets, your two subnets, and then attach them to the VPC. You then create an internet gateway, attach it to the VPC, and create a route table, right? You create the route tables and then configure the various routes, and then associate the route table to the respective subnets. And then you now allocate an elastic IP, and then you create a NAT gateway. Okay, you create a NAT gateway and then attach the elastic IP address to the NAT gateway through a network interface. Okay, through an elastic network interface. And then you now attach this NAT gateway also to the subnet. Get it? So these are the procedures that you go through one by one if you are creating it all by yourself. But as I said, even AWS themselves recommends that you use the wizard so you are conversant or you know exactly what you are doing, okay, before you are able to do each component one by one. Because, for example, the route tables, definitely, depending on where you are working, the route tables might be different. It might not just be the normal from your network to the internet and then just that. Sometimes you might route traffic to another component or something. So but then for now you can just use the VPC wizard, and then after you are able to investigate all of them one by one just to appreciate the setup. So now our VPC is set and we are able to even get some information from it. So the VPC, the CIDR block, yes, we didn't use an IPv6 address. So that one, you can see that there is no IPv6. And this is not the default VPC also. The owner ID, you can also check the resource maps. So this is the map when we're creating it. Okay. So I'll go back to your VPCs. Now, the next thing is to create a security group, right? To allow inbound traffic into the VPC or a firewall. So you can either do a security group or a network access control list. You can do both actually, because in as much as you are allowing inbound traffic, there are still probably some traffic from some IP addresses that you wouldn't want to allow, right? Especially if you have, detected some, suspected some spamming or something, right? So you also want to filter out IP addresses. So here you just scroll down to security groups. And these are default security groups that has been created. So we ignore these and then we'll click on what create security group. So here we'll also say test VPC SG. So that's test VPC security group. Okay, and then this will allow inbound traffic, right, into VPC. And then the VPC that we are attaching the security group to is what? The test VPC that we created. Now, the inbound, so here we are not restricting any kind of traffic. So we'll allow HTTP. So immediately you select, the other time I was saying that you can also type, like, so when you type the ports range, it will detect as what? It will detect the protocol for you. So HTTP is accessed via port 80. And then for the IP, you can also type it manually or can just select it from here, or you can just select anywhere. So this one is anywhere across what's the internet. And then we'll also allow HTTPS, right? So this also HTTPS is via port 443, and we'll also say anywhere, okay? And then, so this is just the configuration that we'll do. We'll leave the rest as it is. The outbound rule is okay because security groups by default allows what? Outbound traffic. So you only create allow rules for inbound traffic, and then you create. Now we have attached a security group that allows inbound traffic into our VPC. The next thing, because we are going to access our web server or web application via SSH, we need, yesterday I was saying that for best practices, it is recommended that you create a separate security group, or you create a separate firewall rule for SSH only. Okay, so we'll create another security group with an inbound traffic, with an inbound rule that allows only SSH traffic. Okay, and attach it to the same VPC. So you can attach as many VPCs to, as many security groups to a VPC. There is a cap, I've forgotten, right? But you can attach multiple. So let me put it out. You can attach multiple security groups to one VPC in an availability zone. Let me put it that way. So I'll go to security groups again, and then this time for only SSH. So I'll say SSH security group. And this one says allows SSH to instance. Great. And then we'll attach that one to the same VPC. We'll add the rule. So the type is what? SSH. And then SSH is via port range 22. And we'll also say anywhere. Okay. And then we'll create the security group. So we have two security groups attached to our EC2 instance, to our VPC. Now we'll have to now create our EC2 or our web server. Okay. Please, at this point, if anybody has a question, kindly ask before we move on. I believe today I'm taking it slow. Okay, silence means consent. Let me continue. Right. So now we are coming to create our web server, right? Our EC2. Great. So also to do that, I can just search EC2. And here we are going to create one EC2 and put it in our public subnet. Okay, so here from the EC2 dashboard, I can just come and click launch EC2, or I can just go to my instances. See, I don't have any instances here, so I can either launch the instance from here. Okay, so somebody is asking that the security group control traffic into the instance or the VPC. Yeah, so the security group is actually, it works at the instance level. But however, when you are creating it, you attach it to the VPC. But security groups works at the instance level, whilst network access control list work at the subnet level, right? So yes, it controls traffic into the instance, but you just attach it to the VPC. Okay, because in actual sense, the security group lives outside the EC2 instance. So if the security group blocks the traffic, the EC2 instance even doesn't see it at all. Okay, so kindly take note of that. All right, you're welcome. But then in the exam, when you asked, it's the security group works at the instance level, so it blocks traffic that is, controls traffic that enters the instance. So I'll launch my instance and I'll do tests instance. That's for the name. Okay, I can choose to add an additional tag. So here I can just click on additional tags and then I can add a new tag, but I am okay with the name, right? Just the name. I can add if it is a department PC or if it's a database PC or if it's a web application. I can say, okay, purpose web application or web server, excuse me. But I'm okay with this. So now the application and then OS images. I'm launching an Amazon Linux. I have an option to launch a Mac OS, an Ubuntu, Windows, Red Hat, SUSE, Debian, and what have you. I can browse more to also see, but for this session, I'm just okay with the Amazon Linux and the image 2023, which is within the free tier. The architecture, we leave it as is. The instance type T2 micro. There's also, depend on the region, some of the regions you can have T3 micro that is also within the free tier. Okay, so let me see. T3 micro. Yes, some of you might have T3 micro in your region, and that would be within the free tier as well. But I'll leave it as what at the T2 micro. For key pair, because we will connect to our server via SSH, there is a need to create what? A key pair. So to create a key pair, you just have to click on create new key pair, and then you make sure it is what? RSA, and I'll also say test instance key pair, KP. Okay, you make sure that your key pair doesn't have spaces, because when you are doing the SSH, it might give you problems. So just put the names together. Even if you leave space in here, when the file is downloaded, you have to remove the spaces, and you make sure you have the RSA type. And here, if you SSH using PuTTY, then so you can see for use with what PuTTY. If you use your SSH through PuTTY, then it is recommended you download the PPK version. But then PuTTY most of the times is for Windows 8 and below. But if you have Windows 10 and above, I think you are good to use the .pem file, you can SSH through the Windows PowerShell. Even though yesterday I had difficulties accessing it. Why the other type of key pair? I think that's what I'm explaining, huh? And okay, the key pair type. So is that why not? Okay, so I don't know why. Let me put it that way. But always they are saying that we should use the RSA. I believe this more of like a current version than the than this. So most of the times the RSA is the recommended one. Okay, there's no explanation as to why we shouldn't select this. Right. So as I said, if you have Windows 10 and above, and you have PowerShell, you should be able to use the .pem file. However, in case you use PM file and then your CMD or your PowerShell is not helping you, there is a way to use PuTTY to convert the PEM key to a PPK key. I'll show you all of that today, right? Yesterday, I had difficulties in using my terminal, but after the class, I was able to use it. I had to even do a video to send okay, that this thing that was giving me tough time, it is working now. I don't know what happened and it was working. So you choose RSA, PEM, and then you create your key pair. So immediately you click on create key pair, it will pop up this screen for you to save the key pair. So I'll save it on my desktop. I have a folder already called group study. So I'll just save it in there. So I downloaded a PEM file because of my Windows version, and I know I'll be able to use it. Great. So for network, since we created a VPC for this, we'll edit the network settings, choose our test VPC, and then we'll place, voila, we'll place what our server in what the public subnet, not the private. If you put it in the private, it will not be accessible to the public, right? So we'll put it in the public subnet. And then yes, we would want to auto assign an IP. And for security group, we'll select existing security group. So we'll select two security groups. One to allow SSH so that we can SSH into our instance. And the second one, the security group to allow inbound traffic to our instance. Right? So we have two security groups. So show all selected. We have two security groups. If you select one, let's say if you had selected the SSH, we will not be able to access the web server via the public IP address, right? So we have these two to allow SSH and then to also allow inbound traffic. The network interface and then all of that, we'll leave them as it is. Okay, this one, we don't touch it. We don't touch any of these. These are pre-configured stuff, so I can just the storage too, we leave it as it is. We are giving an 8 GB GP3 root volume and it is not encrypted, right? So we leave it as it is. And here, the advanced details will also leave these as it is. Scroll down, come here. So here, this is where we are going to, because it's a web server, and then with a sample text. So this is where we are going to paste this file. All right, so let me even look at the advanced. There are places. I wanted to explain something here. For sports. Where is the option for sports instance? So most of the times you will see that for the advanced details, you see request sports instance, all those ones here, right? Okay, instance profile. So I think they keep changing the whole thing. You know, there is a role. I should have deleted this EC2 role, then I'll create it again, but I'll leave it. So most of the times you will see request sports instance, and then you either select or you leave it, right? We know what sports instance are. Sports instance are instances that you request for most of the time, short period of workloads. Okay. But they are not here, so I don't know. I don't know why they are not here. So these are other behaviors that you can use to okay, this is it. So request spot instance. So if you want it as a spot instance, you can just select it. And here, the price will be capped as the current on-demand price. Okay, that is what you are going to pay. It will be capped at the current on-demand price for you. You can also reserve capacity. So you reserving capacity is like, look, I am not using the EC2 instance now, but anytime that I need it, right? Or sorry, I'm using the instance now, but I will need this number of what capacity. So can put it at open, none, target by ID or target by group. So it's like you going to rent a room. You're like, okay, hey, anytime I come to this place let's say this reservation to reserve a room, I always need a 2-bedroom. So it's like always there's a 2-bedroom reserved for you. Always there's a 2-bedroom reserved for you. Okay. So there are details that you can actually look at, but let's go to our user data. So for the user data, I have codes that has already been written. So this code is available in Stefan Marek's resources. If you don't have it, my next visitation to the hubs is probably next week, because this week I've been to the hubs. I've made the announcement, but nobody came around anyway. So, but Stefan Marix has this set of codes that they have, but then these are Linux codes that you have to also familiarize yourself with. Okay, so this one is to just update certain stuff, right? The certain services or other stuff. So it's just to update some stuff, right, in your server. And then the second one is to install the HTTPD, right? That is the Apache server, and then start and enable it. Now, this one is called bootstrapping. Here, this code is going to run while starting or your EC2 is booting for the first time. When it boots for the first time, it will not do it again the next time that you are starting your instance. So for you to enable fast booting, sometimes so you can do this way, start your instance and then create an image out of this and then now replicate it. So in case you are launching multiple servers, right, you can do it without this code, because this is the text that will appear, hello world from the host name, blah blah blah. So you do it without this one, and then you have your Apache server installed and then enabled for you, and then you can just create an image from it, and then you can replicate it, multiple times to reduce your boot time. So now that I've pasted my user data here, I can just proceed. Okay, I'll look at the summary. Okay, so yes, I have my T2 micro. The volume is just one volume, and then I have 2 security groups attached to this instance. So I'll now launch my instance. Great. So the launch has been successfully initiated. Can now click on view all instances. I'll refresh, and this is my instance. So I will wait for my instance state to go to running, and then we'll look at a few things. So it's still pending. Please, is there any question? Let me refresh it this way. Okay, great. So our instance state is in a running state, so we can read some 1 or 2 info from it, but we'll have to wait for us to be able to access the content in our web application. So we'll use the public IPv4 address. So I'll just copy it. Because I allowed both HTTP and an HTTPS address, I can just even open it straight in case my browser is using the HTTPS, and it will be able to access it. But for now, I'm waiting, since it is initializing, I'm waiting for two out of two checks in order to be able to access the content. Okay, so I think it's live now. Whilst I think the HTTPS is still not working. I don't know. So stuff like this. Yes, that's the HTTPS. You can just go in to check your security rules. So here I have the security groups. Yes, I allowed HTTPS 443. Well, but it's still not working. Unless it is still not done. Okay, still at the initializing stage. So I'm surprised that this is able to open. Probably still, since it is not full, I think we'll still have to wait, right? But we'll just look at some details. So this is a public IPv4. This is what you use to access the web application. This is to the public, and this one changes. So when if I stop the EC2 instance and then start it again, this might change, right? This public IP might change, but the private IPv4 address doesn't change. This is also the public IPv4 DNS address. You use this to read, metadata about a, sorry, is it the private IP? No, yes, it's this one, the public IPv4 DNS. You use it to read metadata about your server, and then the VPC that is attached to the auto-assigned IP address, which is the same as the public IPv4, the instance ID, which is a unique instance ID, right? We don't have any IPv6 address, so you can see this is not there. The subnets that this EC2 instance is spin up in, that is the public subnet. We don't have an IAM role attached to it currently. And yes, some other details that you can, so the key pair here. So these are some other details that you can read about your EC2 instance. Let me refresh again. Let me refresh it this way. I don't know. It takes, because of the bootstrapping, sometimes it might like take a longer time, a longer period, depending on what you attach to it. And then the specs that we're given are kind of a little slow, right? So we might have to exercise a little patience. Great. So we have 2 out of 2 checks. Let me see if this will still work. Oh, well, if it doesn't, I'll just leave it just as it is, but it should. Okay. So as I said, if you are having these can't be reached and then all that, you will have to check your security rules, right? So you can go to your security, and then these are the security groups that I attach to. So if I select this one, and these are the rules, right? So I should be able to check to see if everything is all right. Well, everything is all right, but it is still not reaching it. But as far as I'm able to access it by HTTP, that should be okay for me. Okay, because I mean all the rules has okay, so the HTTPS should actually work, but it is not. So okay, nice. Now we'll look at how to connect to our EC2 instance. So I'll go to instances, right? So let me even show you the first one before we go into the others, right? So we have a public SSH utility, right? That you can, I say a web-based SSH utility that you can use to connect or SSH into your instance. So when you say SSH, it's just like securely connecting to your EC2 instance and doing certain operations, just like using a remote desktop to connect to your remote PC. Okay, and on Linux, you use the SSH method. There is actually a way to graphically connect to it, but it's a long procedure. Okay, I'll look at that, or probably I'll also study around it, and then in another session I will go through that. I will show you how to do it. But for now, in this scope, we SSH into the web server. So I'll just click here and then go to connect, and then there is what instance connect. Okay, and the username, because we are using Amazon Linux 2, it's the AWS automatically creates a username for us, so EC2 user. So if you are doing SSH through an external app, maybe your terminal or party, then you have to specify this username, EC2 user. Okay, so once I have this one here, I'll just click on connect. Great. So I've been able to connect to my Linux server, right? So here I will do some basic Linux commands. These are not, let me put it, in the scope, or you are not going to be asked questions on the Linux commands or something, right? But as far as you are doing this, or as far as you call yourself, I mean, you say you are a solutions architect or something, you have to also know how to do some basic Linux operations, right? So I would want to verify the user that I'm using. So I can just say, who am I? And then it's what? And I'm an EC2 user. I would want to check the hard drive space of the instance. So I'll do DFH, and then you can see that all the file systems that I have, or the mount spaces that I have, and then the storage that are allocated. So everything, then the storage, the size on the disk, and then the size used, and then the size available, right? So these are basic like partitions that have been made on my my system, right? I can do, so let me create a file. So I'll say make directory. Okay, so first let me check the directory that I am in. Okay, so pwd. Okay, so I'm in the EC2, the home, and then the EC2 user, right? So let me clear and do my pwd again. So as I said, these commands are just Linux commands that I know. And I think you can just do a simple Google search, basic Linux commands, and you'll be able to learn some of them. All right, so I'm in so I'll say make directory. So make directory is mkdir, and then the name is test, right? This is the folder name, and then you are putting it in home. So here I just press tab, right? And then it will just give me an auto suggestion. So home, and then EC2 user. So cannot create, file exists already. Oh. Let me list.
Yeah, now you're already in the home, so you don't need to create that directory.
Yes, I don't need to create that directory. Yes, it's true. Great. So the file, hey, when did I do this? So there's a test file there already. Okay, so I specifically didn't need to add that directory.
Yes. So the way you listed it, you were telling the Linux system to create test and also create home EC2.
Okay.
So it just created a test and left the other one.
Exactly. Yes, that's true. All right, thank you very much. All right, so I've created a folder here, and then now I'll create let's say a text file and then put it into the test folder. So I'll say echo, and let me change my language. Echo, this is a test note, and then put it into this folder, test, and name the file test.txt. Great. So if I should cd into the tests, and I'll do ls, my caps, and I do ls, I'll see that the test.txt file that I created here. Now, if I should cut, you can see the note that I left in the text file is here. So when you will go to the Windows version, I'll do the same thing, and then for us to appreciate what I did here. So it's just me writing some commands instead of using the graphic user interface, the normal right click, create text file, create folder thing. This is what I'm doing via the command line, right? So I'll just end this one here, the Linux session, the instance connect session. So I showed this one first just for you to appreciate the fact that if your terminal is not working, that is, you are using PowerShell, just like the issue I faced yesterday. If your terminal is not working, or you are not able to do it, or you are having issues with PuTTY, you can just use the web version here, and it is free. You can use the web version to do whatever you want to do via SSH, right? It also has the AWS. So let me do CD. Go back. Let me see pwd. Right. Let me clear this screen. It also comes with the AWS CLI automatically installed here. So I can do AWS -- version. And you can see that it gives me the Linux version. It means that it has AWS CLI installed. Okay, so let me go to the EC2 IAM rules so that we'll close that chapter before we go to the PuTTY and then other stuff. Now, we learned that for you to grant access to applications, for example, an EC2, right, to have certain access right or to do certain operations that users might do, it is best that you create an IAM role for it. So let's say we want to use our EC2 instance to just read user credentials or read the list or a report of user credentials that are on our EC2. In a normal way, you can just do AWS IAM, right? And then list users. Okay, this is the command for listing users in AWS, right? I'll press enter, and then what does it say? It says what? Unable to locate credentials. You have to configure credentials by running AWS configure. So normally, if I'm a user, when we're doing the IAM session, you remember we created keys for my username. So we'll use the keys to access the AWS console via CMD or via the AWS CLI. So on a normal basis, you can just do AWS configure. Okay, and then you type your access key ID, your security access key ID, your default region. So it's just like you logging into the console, right? And then your default output formats, and then you are good to go. But this is a bad practice as far as using the EC2 itself. If it is your user account, then that is fine. But as far as using EC2, it's a bad practice because immediately you do this, anybody on our AWS account can be able to just log into this EC2 instance or this web server and then read these credentials or retrieve these credentials and then now use them for their own purposes, which is a bad security practice. Okay, so what you do is that you create an IAM role for the EC2 so that the EC2 will now assume that role whenever they need to perform these action. Okay, so to do that, we'll go back to our EC2 instance, or we'll go back to our console and then go to IAM. Right, I will not take us through the process of creating the role, but I just want to show you the role that I created. That is in the IAM session, so you can just go in there and then check it out. Right, so I have 6 roles that I created, and then this is the EC2 role that I created. So you can see the EC2 role. I can even go through the details and see the access right that I gave. The policy name is what? IAM read only access. So this role will enable my EC2 to do what? Read like IAM credentials. It has only read only access, right? So to give that access right to my EC2, I will go back to my EC2. Okay, I'll just click instances from here. All right, select my EC2, actions, security, and then modify IAM role. And then I'll choose the EC2 role that I created through IAM, and then I'll just update IAM role. So once that is done, we can even read the details here, and we'll see that there is an IAM role that is what attached to it. We can click on this to appreciate what we have in there, and you can see. So the summary is the summary, and this is my role. Currently, there's no permission boundary. Okay, great. So I'll go back to my terminal or my instance connect, and then I'll just type the AWS IAM list users command that I typed earlier, and then now press enter. And then you can see that it brings the users list, and then the username is what currently Isaac, my user ID, my ARN, something, the date that was created, and then the date that I last. Yes, you can attach more than one role to an EC2 instance. No, so what you can do is that you can create one role, right? Unless if I don't understand your question, or if I understand your question, what you can do is you can create one role and then assign like other policies. Okay, so here for this one like this, I can add more permissions. Okay, so I see I can attach more policies. Okay, so I can even give it administrative access. I can give it like all the policies that you can have. So you just kindly go and refer to the IAM session. You appreciate it much better, right? So you can create an EC2 role and then attach all those policies or attach all those permissions, and then now you can attach that role to the EC2 instance. So this is the web version of connecting, or this is the web platform that enables you to SSH into your EC2 instance. So I'll close this. There are other stuff that I wanted to do, but I forgot. So I'll do it in the terminal when I'm doing. So I'll close this one as well. Great. So now let's SSH through PowerShell. So PowerShell, I'll just go to my start menu and then search for PowerShell. So this is PowerShell. Great. So to verify that I'll be able to SSH, I'll just type SSH, and then as far as I have a result, I'm good to go. Okay. So to connect via SSH through your PowerShell or your Windows terminal, if you have a Linux system, is mostly the same. If there are issues with permission, you can do your CH mode, like CH mode. I think it's 0400. Is it 400 or 0400? I've forgotten. And then the file name, and it will just give you, the user, all the permissions to be able to use it. But mostly in Windows, it will ask you for permission issues. Let's do it. You appreciate that. So first, I'll CD. Okay, I see. Let me even go to my desktop first. So File Explorer and desktop. And this is the folder that I created, right? So this is the folder. So I will CD to my desktop folder. Okay. And my group, yes, my group study folder. Great. So now I'm now in my group study folder. So to do the SSH, you have to make sure that you are in the folder that you created your key, or you saved your key, right? The directory that you saved your key, so that things will be easier for you. And then now I'll type this command SSH I and the username. So that's EC2 minus user. Okay. ECSN. EC2 minus user at the public IP. Okay. The public IPv4 address. This one. This one. The public IPv4 address. Now I think I left something. So SSH and then the key file, right? The key file. So that is test. Yes, this one. Okay, and then the SSHI, the key file, and the EC2 user at the public IPv4 address and enter. So as I said, there is a permission. This key is not known by any other names. Are you sure you want to continue connecting? Just type yes. Great. And then you can see this screen when we connected via the instance store. Let me just connect it again for you to appreciate it better. So you can see the same thing here, right? So first, let me look at the directory that I'm in. So I'll do a pwd. And I'm in the EC2 user folder. So let me just list it, do ls, and you can see the test directory, right? The test directory that I created through the instance connect is still here, right? Now let me cd to the test folder, and then let me ls. You can see the test txt file that I created. I can also cut into the test file, and you can cut, right? And then you can see this is what a test note. Okay, so I can now delete this file. So I'll do an rm and then test. If I ls, you can see there's no file in this directory again. Okay, so the rm is for deletion, to delete a file. Okay, so I can cd back cpwd. Okay, let me clear. Then I can also do the who am I command again to see who am I. That is EC2 user. I can perform the same IAM role command that I did. So to test that, or to verify that I have AWS CLI installed, I'll do AWS -- version. Okay, so it is installed. So I can do AWS IAM list users. and we can also appreciate it this way. So if you don't have PowerShell, right, and what you have is the PuTTY, you can also equally connect via PuTTY. So I'm coming to connect via PuTTY for you. But first, our key file is what? A .pem file. So it is not compatible with PuTTY. So yesterday, if you want to install PuTTY, what you can do is just do a simple Google search, install PuTTY, right? And then you have, just click on the link putty.org, download PuTTY. Okay, download the current version. So the first one. So I'm using Windows. So just the first one is okay. And okay, let me just save it in the folder, the group study folder. Wait, so yesterday I downloaded it, but I deleted it again. And then now just click on the finish download to install it. Next, install. Yes. Okay, it's finished. I'm not viewing any README file. So first thing, I have to convert the .pem file to a .ppk file. Now, PuTTY has a feature. So we have the PuTTY app, and then we have the PuTTY gen. So I'll use the PuTTY gen to generate a ppk file. So this is PuTTY gen, and this is the PuTTY app. So I'll use the ppk file, the pem file. I'll generate a ppk file from the pem file, right? So first I'll load. So I'll go to the group study folder. So you can see it's searching for what's a private key file. That's a PuTTY file. But I will go to all files, and then I'll be able to see the pem file. Open. So I have successfully imported it. Okay, and then I'll just save private key. Okay, so save private key. Yes, so are you sure you want to save this key? Yes. And then I will just do instance key. So I'll test instance keeper. Okay, save. So now that I've saved my ppk file, I can now go ahead and then open PuTTY. Great. And then my host name is the EC2 user, okay, at what's my public IPv4 address. So I'll go back to my instances, and then I'll copy my IPv4 address and then paste it here. The port is 22. And okay, let me delete this one and then type a new name. So my test instance, and save. So the reason why I'm saving this session is that so that next time when I want to SSH, I wouldn't have to go through all this again. I'll just double click and then voila, I am connected. Okay, so I'm just trying to save the instance. But then if I should stop this instance and then start again, the public IPv4 address will change. So what I just need to change is the public IPv4 address, and then I'll be good to go. So when I am done entering the host name, that is the host name or IP address, that's the EC2 user, and then the IPv4 address, I'll now have to go to SSH auth here, and then I'll go to credentials, right? So for credentials, I'll go to private key file for authentication. Okay, so I'll browse group study, and then I'll select what the ppk file. Are we okay? So this is the some PuTTY versions. When you click the auth, the option will be here for you to browse and then select the credentials. But for mine, it's here. Okay, so when I'm done, when I select the key, I'm not done. Okay, I have to go back to the session and then save. Okay, so the private key is saved together with all the stuff that I've done. Okay, so from here, I can just double click here to open, or I can just click on open and then accept, authenticating, and then voila, you can see that I have the same stuff that I have here on party as well. Okay, so here I can also do the same commands. Who am I? Can do I can ls the test, so I can even remove this folder. So to remove the directory, I'll do rmdir and then test, enter. The file is deleted. If I do ls, you can see it is no more there. So that will be basically about SSHing, or how to SSH into, launch your server into a VPC and then allow security rules to allow inbound rules and create a security group to allow SSHing into the instance or connecting to the instance, right? And also how to use the different SSH tools to connect to your instance. Any question? Okay, you there? Okay, okay, still
Yeah.
not. Okay. So that's basically on the Linux bits, right? As far as connecting, launching an EC2 instance, creating a VPC, adding security groups, and then also once again connecting. So if any of these two, okay, either your PowerShell or your terminal, if any of them fails, okay, if any of them fails, you can just use the instance connect. You are able to do everything that you can you wish to do, okay, as far as Linux is concerned. So you don't necessarily have to have all the TV methods, but it is better that you have alternatives, but you don't necessarily have to have all the TV methods. Just one of them is fine. And then mostly using the instance connect is okay. All right, so I think that will be it. So I'll close this session. I'll close this as well. Close this. Close this. I'll make sure to terminate my EC2 instance. Okay, just to avoid incurring costs. Now I owe 20 cents. I owe 20 cents already. So to avoid incurring the other costs, and I'll go to my VPC. So now I'm terminating my instance. To take some time, but it will shut down. Now I'll go to my VPC. And also, so you just have to make sure you delete every resource. So as I said, to be on the safer side, just access the console via the Canvas labs. That one, immediately you end the labs, everything goes away. And you're actually not paying for anything there because it is not your credit card details that are there. Okay, so I'll go to my VPCs and then I'll delete it. I think for now, some components, yes, there are some components which are still in use. So once my EC2 instance is fully terminated, I'll be able to delete them. I wouldn't want to delete, normally it's the NAT gateway because there is an elastic IP address associated to it and there is an elastic network interface that is associated to it, but I wouldn't want to delete them one after the other because immediately you delete one, the elastic IP address is left unused and then you are charged for the period that it is left unused. Okay, and once you delete it, you can't just delete the rest straight ahead. You have to wait for some time. So that is why I have accrued these little charges. Right, so I'll wait for some time for the instance to fully terminate and then I'll just delete it. Great. So I'll hand over to Okain to also take us through how to launch the Windows server on EC2.
Okay. Thank you very much, Isaac.
You're welcome.
I think if anyone has a question, he or she can.
Yes, please. So you can yes, before we move on, you can just ask your question so that we address them before we move on.
Any questions? Yeah, you guys should ask questions. So. All right. I think then we can proceed.
Yeah, we can proceed. So.
Okay, let me start by sharing my screen.
Sure. Okay, I think I have to stop sharing. All right.
Okay, let me give it the right to share, please. Okay, Isaac, I think try to the sharing. Make it multiple users at this.
Yeah, okay. I make you host, so yes.
All right, sure. Today I'm using my secondary laptop, so.
Oh, okay.
Okay. Let me share my entire screen. Okay. Everyone see my screen?
Yes, I can see your screen.
All right. Okay. So we can proceed.
Yeah.
So as usual, for those who don't have the AWS accounts, the free tier accounts, you can go to your Canvas, you go to the models that have LabWorks. For instance, I chose to use Lab 4 to launch the AWS services. So you start the lab, then it loads, then after it loads, then you click on the AWS button, then another tab opens where you would see your AWS dashboard. Yes. So as usual, when you get into your dashboard, in order to launch an EC2 instance, you can search through the services, which is a long process. I don't like it. If by chance you use the EC2 instances before, you would also find it around the recently visited. But the shortest way possible is to use the search bar. So you just type in EC2. So the screen loads. Then you can see EC2, virtual service in the cloud. So you click on that. So when you click, the EC2 dashboard loads up. Now, to launch to launch a Windows server on EC2, you first of all have to check your region. Today I chose to go through London because I think I can launch the T3 micro instead of the T2 micro I used yesterday. I think I can do that in London. So I'm using that for today. So you now come down to the launch instance tab, then you click on the orange button. So after you click, it takes you to the launch an instance page. So the first thing you have to do is to name your server or the EC2 instance you're about to launch. You can equally tag that particular EC2 instance here. Today, you are not doing tagging, so let's just give it a name. I've chose to name it Sage/AWS. You can name it whatever you want. Then now we scroll down to the application and OS images. That's the Amazon machine image. We are going to choose Windows here. Isaac chose Linux, Amazon Linux, but because we want to launch Windows Server, we'll choose the Windows Microsoft here. Then maybe you want to choose a different version of Windows Server. If you want to choose, you just click under the IMI, you choose if you want the 2022 core base, if you want the 2019, 2016, you find it all here. There are also additions. You have additional ones with SQL Server pre-installed. SQL Server it's a paid service, so you wouldn't find it among the free tier. So we would go with the 2022, the base version. So we'll select that. After selecting, we scroll down. The instance type, we have T2 with a one virtual CPU and 1 gig memory. Today, let me try and launch T3 rather. Okay. So I'll choose T3 Micro. This gives us 2 virtual processors and 1 gig of memory. So we'll select that. Then you go to the key pair login. We are going to use this particular key pair to generate our administrator password for the Windows interface. So here we are going to name the key pair. So let's give it Windows Server Pass. Then we click on create key pair, create new key pair. So what happens is after you click it, a key pair interface pops up. Then you enter the key pair name. Then we leave the key pair type at RSA. We can't choose any other. Then the private key file format also, we leave it at PEM. Then we scroll down to create key pair. So create key pair. Okay. So what happened is the key pair is now downloaded in my downloads folder. So now let's scroll down. There are other VPC settings or network settings and firewall settings that you would want to add. For now, we are not going to touch any of that. We'll just make sure to allow HTTPS traffic from the internet and also allow HTTP. Then we scroll down. The free tier gives us 30 gig of elastic block storage for general purpose or magnetic storage. We leave that one also. So let's explore the advanced details. I don't think we need to touch anything here. So we'll leave the advanced details. So now we will go through whatever we chose. If maybe we made a mistake or anything at all, we just go through. If everything is all right, on the right side, when we have the summary pane, you can equally choose the number of instances you want to launch based on the details we choose. If you want to launch 3 instances, 4 instances, you can alter the number here. But for now, we are just using 1. Okay. So on the right lower corner, you can see launch instance. So we are going to click on the launch instance button. Then we allow the instance to launch. So it's creating security group rules, launch initiation, and all that. So it has successfully initiated launch of the instance. Now we go back to our instance page because the next steps, we are not going to create any other RDS database. We are not going to connect to other instances or any other thing. The options given here, we are not going to do any of that now. So we just have to go back to our instance page. So when you get to our instance page, you can see here, we have the AWS. I created 1 instances a while ago. Let me see if I can get rid of that so that you guys don't get confused. Okay, you let it.
It will go later. You just terminated it, so it will go later.
Yeah, it will go later. So let's leave it as such. Okay. So the first one is initializing. So I think we'd have to give it some time to finish initializing. In the meantime, you can also explore the details section where we have the instance summary, including the instance ID, the public IP address. This is the public IP address Amazon gave us. We are going to use this IP address to log in into the Microsoft server via RDP. That's the remote desktop protocol. And all Windows machine comes with RDP pre-installed. So we are going to use this IP to log in into that interface, which is the Windows Server interface. We have the DNS, the private IP DNS name here. We have the host name type and some other details. And the security also. If we've assigned IAM role to this particular instance, we would find all that details here. If you created inbound rules, you'll find it here. Outbound rules, you also find it here. We have the networking also, where we have the VPCs and all that. An elastic IP, we find all of that here. And the storage also, they give us AWS 30 gig. So we can find the details here. And also we have the status check. As you can see, it's still initializing. Then also the monitoring, where you can track the performance of the various hardwares. That's the CPU utilization, the various status checks, the network, the byte in, byte outs, and others. So it's basically a simple dashboard where you can view whatever is going on with your EC2 instance or how your EC2 instance is performing. And also you have tags. We didn't allocate any tag, so we'll leave it as such. We just allocated a name to the EC2 instance, which is sage/AWS. Okay, let's refresh the page and see if it's done initializing. All right, so status check 2/2. So I think we are good to go. So first, what you do is to copy the IP version 4. So you just click on the EC2 instance, then the details, under the in details tab, you see the public IP version 4 here. So you just copy by clicking on the two boxes. You can equally highlight and copy, but it's a long process. By just clicking once on this button, these two boxes, you just copy it. Then now you come to your Windows Start button. You click it, then you search for RDP. So as you can see, Remote Desktop Protocol. So you open the Remote Desktop Protocol, then you paste the IP address. So as you can see, 13.43.86.44. Then you click Connect. Now, another window is going to pop up, which is going to request for the username and the password for the Microsoft server we just launched, the instance we just launched. So now, to get these two credentials, you go back to your EC2 instance, which is the sage/AWS. You click on it. Then at the top right, the top middle corner of your window, you can see Connect. So you click on Connect. Then you see your session manager. Then you see the RDP client. So we are going to select RDP client. Now, we scroll down We are trying to connect using the RDP client. So you scroll down. You see in the under the public DNS section, you can see the username, which is administrator, on the right side. And now the password. You remember we did key management services during our CCP. So when we created the instance, a key was downloaded. A couple of steps behind, we downloaded a key, which is in our download folder. So now we are going to upload this particular key so that it decrypts and gives us the password for this EC2 instance. So we click on get password, then we come down, then we click on upload private key, which is the key we downloaded. So we make sure we select. I quite remember we named it win key. So we select. So we can scroll down and we see the decrypt password. Immediately click on it, AWS does the magic and the password is being decrypted. So you can see we have a very long password. This one, if someone wants to hack your EC2 instance, it will take 80 years before they'll be able to decrypt. It has symbols, it's more than 12, it has capital letters, it has numbers, it has small letters and all that. So we are going to copy this password. For the username, which is administrator, you can type it. You can easily remember it. For the password, it will take us some time to type all this. So we'll copy the password. Then we go back to the RDP credentials login page. So we type administrator here. Then at the password section, we just paste what we copied. So as you can see, Y89 is the same thing here, ending with JU. Yeah, you can choose to remember me if you feel like your laptop is secured enough and you don't want to go through the whole process of decrypting and getting password. You can choose to remember me. If you choose to remember me, whenever you go to RDP and type the IP address, it hits the server straight without you going through this credentials process. Okay, so you click on OK. Then what happens is a certificate authentication page opens. Yes, so we can see the name of the EC2 instance. Amazon gave it EC2, AMAZ, whatever. We are having a few certificate errors, but you can ignore it. Then we click on yes. So it's now configuring the remote session. And it's logging in now. So it's preparing the Windows interface for us. Give it a few seconds and it will be done.
Okay, so while it's still reading, I think Gerald left a message. He said, Charlie, these studies be powerhouse. So people, I am paid to learn this stuff. Charlie, thank you. We do it for free. That's the best we can do for each other.
Charlie, so as you can see, our server is ready. This is a complete Windows Microsoft Server 2022 version. And it has all the bells and whistles. So it's like you getting access to a free server sitting in an Amazon server somewhere. You see, it has a start menu. This is on my machine. It's the server that I've logged in.
Yes, and also I'll also add that it's not because it is on his machine that is why he is able to connect. Anybody at all can be able to connect to this server at wherever they are. So if somebody would want to try, you can just give the credentials and everything, yes, to him, and you'll be able to connect.
Yes. So I don't know if someone can volunteer. I'll just send the password, the username and the password. Then you use RDP to connect. Then we'll
connect. Yeah, so that then we'll see. You share your screen for us to see. Somebody's asked, is it only Windows servers I can launch? No, we did a Linux version. So we just did the Linux version shortly. So you can launch a Linux server, You can launch a Windows server.
Yes. And you see, Amazon is such that you can even upload your own operating system and launch it.
Exactly.
You see, there are other operating systems available in the Amazon marketplace, custom operating, some with softwares pre-installed. You get me? Even with this, are easy to instance. If you choose to maybe install a couple of softwares on it, add certain features and all that, we can actually save it as an AMI,
and then
use it to launch other instances. So when you launch it, you don't have to go through all the process of installing SQL, installing this driver, installing this particular software. If it's XAMPP you are installing, and Apache and all that, you don't have to go through that. You have already done that and created an AMI image. So you can use it and you just replicate. So I don't know if someone can just volunteer.
Yeah, volunteer and then just connect. I wouldn't want to connect so that you'll be like, oh, it's because it's us. That is why somebody should just volunteer. We can even give you the guidelines. I would even appreciate if a woman volunteers. Right? You can just share your screen. We'll give you the guideline to go through and then just connect your, what's it called? Just connect via RDP. It doesn't have any effect on your personal machine. You are just connecting to a server. When you finish, then you close it. So you can just do the normal folder creating that I did and then all that, so that they will also appreciate it. Yes.
Sure.
Or anybody. Okay, you have shared the password, the username, and then just share the what's it called? The IPv4 address. So anybody at all. And oh, you will not be charged, right? This cost goes to AWS.
So that's the IP address too. Oh, Charlie, guys, you guys are not. Oh, you guys are asleep. Anyone at all?
Okay, if nobody will do it, just give me some few minutes. Let me boot my laptop and then I'm using my phone. So you let me boot my laptop and
okay, sure. All right, sure. All right.
So I think let me try something here. I don't want to copy my WhatsApp. I wanted to copy inside the link he sent. The files he uploaded.
I beg, open your WhatsApp. Open now.
Then stop sharing and go copy and then you go share them again.
Oh, I have nothing to hide, but too risky. I have nothing to hide, but too risky. Some eyes, these scan ones are it go know your biological history, then everything.
I swear.
I don't say I don't want left any digital footprints. I just study from my boss, Isaac.
What's that? You be at the learn from you.
So you make a try test the internet speed using So I just open Edge on that particular server. So you can use this server for a whole lot. Use it to manage websites and all that using the IIS.
Recording in progress.
Okay, it seems someone disconnected me.
Yeah, Gerald, I checked that Gerald do the connection.
Okay, so let me stop sharing my screen then.
And then make him host, make you share.
Sure.
And I beg, the certificates they will get to, but this is.
I beg, please share the credentials again. I joined with my laptop, so I couldn't copy it. It's on my phone.
Okay.
Okay. So I the copy put for inside again.
Okay, sure, great. So share screen.
Okay, so okay, can they share? Okay.
Is that host disabled participant screen share?
Yeah, they can make you host, then you go feed do one.
All right.
So maybe you post the IP and you can make comments.
Yeah. Okay. So the IP this.
Okay.
All right.
I think
So
you're good to go.
yeah, you are good to go now. The certificate
Okay,
we will get you back, but at the back, the solution architect or the cloud practitioner, this be him. Like anyway. So at the back,
The human anchor side
you want anchor signing. So make you like everybody make you like dedicate time there. Learn them.
yeah. So the IP
13.43.
where my distance have passed 13.40. I know they see my apart from the controls, the match screen, I don't see anything again. And they come tab. The meeting, I just they see the meeting control spell. I know they see you guys already.
You did full screen.
So
You did full screen.
Yeah, it make
so
full
change
screen.
it.
Press escape. This thing
Escape,
happen.
yeah. At the escape, you know they do. Okay, make I add shift escape, control escape, nothing.
Okay.
Escape.
But you see the
Okay.
controls for the top there.
Yeah, they see only the controls for the top.
Like what we control series.
So view option.
They see mute, start video, security, participants, chat. Okay, let me just copy it from the chat. That would make sense.
Yes, just copy from the chat.
So I want to see everybody's face.
Let me mention this one for you afterwards, then you copy.
Which one? The IP.
Yes.
I've not posted it.
Okay.
Yeah, I post them.
Okay. But why they use me, Macri?
Yeah, so you will go more.
Yeah.
That be the default. Always they use your.
Yeah.
So that be
So technically, this is we've set up a new Windows machine in the cloud.
Exactly.
If I'm not mistaken. Okay.
Yes,
so
that is
if I'm not mistaken, too, this is what the fraud boys have been using to do their things. Because
they can actually use it.
Yeah, if you check the IP address for this one, I'm sure it will say that the computer, like you are in US, whichever region you provision the server, it will mask that region. So it will not say in Ghana and you are trying to do something to say you are there. Wow.
Yeah, but most of them they use they just use VPNs, like paid strong VPNs. So
if you choose to use AWS to do fraud, then you are not a wise person.
That be the thing.
Because they can catch you. Because they can catch you easily.
The CIA has invested $200 million plus dollars in AWS.
Exactly. So
I get you, but I think they can get away. Reason being that registering for AWS, especially a free tier account, doesn't cost that much. What you have to do is link a Visa or a Visa card to it, and with that one, because of virtual cards and stuff, people can just use someone's card to even register, and you will not know whether it's a person or not.
But remember, you just logged in.
Yes.
Into an EC2 instance, so your IP address is ready. Your location is
true. They can ping you.
Yeah.
Even
those that use like VPNs, they still do what we call triangulation. Like if they want to catch you, they will just do triangulation and then they will catch you.
Yeah. Those boys that have been doing those days, it's just because they don't want to catch them. Even whatever they use, whatever technology they use. Now they use 911. 911 is one of the secure IP address maskers. But the fact is, the one that developed it himself can expose you.
Exactly.
So if they want to catch you, most of these things, I even believe that their security agencies have a hand in creating them. Just like certain parts of the dark web, Tor browser. Most of them, they are CIA and FBI operatives that are running some shops there.
Yeah.
But I don't know why Okay, so who are .net, right? Who are your .net or .com?
My encounter in the dark web. Charlie, I explored. I went deep down to the dark web, and I downloaded the file. Can you
So
imagine?
you see, I'm checking the IP. It's saying that it's in London, United Kingdom.
Yeah.
Yes, the reason I chose London.
Yes, the internet service provider is Amazon.
Exactly.
And the OS Windows 10. Meanwhile, my machine is not Windows 10.
Yes. So
it's actually Windows Server, but because the Windows Server is based on Windows 10.
Windows 10, yes.
Yeah.
But if it's other sites can determine if it's a server actually.
A server, yeah.
Yes.
But this site just shows Windows 10.
Hey Ben, it's past 11. So yeah, so okay, you
my point. You see, I've realized that there are people within our cohorts who probably want to just pass the exam and obtain a certificate. And me, I pray everybody passes. But this is the work, honestly. To be a solutions architect is hands-on. It's not just about learning Steve Maverick's this thing or trying tutorial dojos test and then you go and pass. It's hands-on, knowing and collaboration, talking to your peers. That you can't have all the knowledge.
Yeah.
People will know something that you don't know. You learn from them and you become better. I don't know why this activity people don't like engaging themselves in it. Maybe they have their private studies too that they do, and that's fine. But I would encourage, if you've come here once, I would encourage that once you shall come and experience something, come and learn something. At least today you know how to provision a Windows server. And you've learned a little bit about Bash. I've not taught us Bash. If what he was doing earlier on the Linux commands that he was writing, the scripts the Maverick scripts that he imported, that's Bash shell scripts. And those things, as I said, pay a lot of money to learn it. Some are charging $7,500 to learn some of these things. But you're learning it for free. So if you want, you can learn. In case you don't see me, then I'm going to sleep.
Okay, so that's Gerald who has connected to the EC2 Windows server that Okai created. Yeah, so Godwin, the video will be made available, but hopefully tomorrow. Okay, so that is it. So yes, you get a video to go over it again. Yes, Rubicon, you have your hands raised. You can talk.
So sometimes like I get, how do I even put this word? But then it really affects me when I hear some things we say. Because, in as much as we are all encouraging ourselves to learn, we all have various circumstances. So I feel we shouldn't be quick to judge some of the people who are not there, because even though we've made this thing free, we all come here to have fun. We learn one or two, and it's a good thing. But then someone might not have that luxury. You never know. Someone might not, in the evenings are not a good period for the person. Someone might be sick and is still trying to pull through this course. So when we should have empathy a bit. We shouldn't make it be like the thing is there, but the person don't want to join or something. No. You never know someone's story. So the person, you get close to the person and the person tells you. This is just something, this little thing I want to add.
Yes, yes, you are right. That is well appreciated. We understand, but I mean, we appreciate everyone's efforts. I mean, if it was actually for the masses, I'm not sure we will even be continuing to do this, because we are over 200 plus. And yes, there are people who are actually okay. You get it. There are people who are actually okay. They know. We are not actually like the ones who really know. We've just devoted ourselves to share knowledge and all that, right? I think that will help our learning. That's basically what we are trying to do. But we are not saying because
to add up, it's always been recorded. And the link
exactly.
is
It's recorded and we share them. Exactly. But when you look at other,
that's all.
when you look at on the other side of things, see now we are how many? We are 20. But when we were doing the exam, we had almost like we will go up to like 38 to 40. You get it? Now when we start, we have to spend almost about 15 to 20 minutes before we get like the masses. But there are people who are constantly joining. And that is not the case when we are having the expert sessions. Do you get what I'm trying to say? Even the numbers from here who join the expert session.
Yeah, Charlie. So I just go home and I've listened to what's going on. Rubicon, the point to me there, it's not as if anybody is judging anybody that they are not joining the thing. Or see, the kind of messages we got over the past few weeks, it tells you people are actually in it, but I don't know whether it is a homaso or whatever it is, but they just decided not to join. And some of those people, if they had joined this group thing, would have been a lot more better. Okay, the point we are trying to say is that it is only good if you join. Okay, nobody is judging anybody. I mean, yes, there are people who are even better than some of us here discussing this thing. People are way ahead of us. So for them, fine. Yes, we don't know their story. We don't know anybody's story. But some of the messages that I got over the past weeks when we were talking about how to do this and how to do that, what's this and what's that. Somebody texted on the group, I think 2 days before the deadline about how to do something. Do you understand? So some of the things, it's not like anybody is judging anybody, but like you're not here to come and prove to anybody like
And also,
all of us here, most of us, we don't even know everything. We are just we share